Resident Evil 4 Remake is a third-person shooter game. The gameplay trailer shows Leon Kennedy, who is trying to find a way out of the infected village. The remake is an upcoming survival horror video game developed and published by Capcom. It is a remake of the original Resident Evil 4, which was released on GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox and Windows in 2005. At this point in time, Capcom has confirmed that Resident Evil 4 will be arriving early next year on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, and PC. And while it might seem odd that the previous Xbox One platform isn't included in this lineup, it seems like Capcom could be announcing the game for this console at some point in the near future. A new listing for Resident Evil 4 Remake on Xbox One was discovered on Amazon. This version of the game seems to be compatible via Xbox's Smart Delivery program, which means that the Xbox Series X and Xbox One versions of the title are one and the same. Although, Capcom hasn't confirmed that this leak is legitimate, but given that Resident Evil 4 is available to pre-order on Amazon in this manner, it seems to be quite likely that this information is accurate. When the game first came out on the Nintendo GameCube, Shinji Mikami was the game director of the project. Since then, he's gone on creating games like The Evil Within and Vanquish, which both borrowed from Resident Evil inspiration. Then Shinji Mikami went on to explain that due to tight deadlines during Resident Evil 4 production, he wasn't able to tell the entire story he wanted to tell, and hopes that this remake could give him another chance for this. Shinji Mikami also explained the remake will adopt a spookier tone than the original, and that concepts that were scrapped in the final version could be revisited. As Resident Evil has taken on a more serious horror-focused style in recent years, this could also translate into the remake. With the game's release coming up pretty soon, here's everything we know about it, including the Resident Evil 4 Remake release date, trailer, platforms, possible gameplay, and leaks. To provide a little background, Resident Evil 4 was the game that set the standards for the series going forward. The clanky controls and the fixed camera angles, Resident Evil 4 became an over-the-shoulder shooter with an emphasis on action considering the fact and limitations of the hardware that time. So, the trailer starts with Leon walking through the village. They come across a woman in a cage, who is screaming for help. There are also villagers with axes chasing them. They eventually get cornered by the villagers, but they manage to escape from the trap. Leon then walks into an abandoned church, where they find a man in a lab coat chained up on the ground. He tells them that he's been here for days with no food or water, and says that he needs help before he dies from starvation or dehydration. Later on in the video, there are more scenes of Leon fighting against villagers with axes as well as zombies that have been infected by Las Plagas parasite. The video ends with them discovering an exit. Since the reveal of the Resident Evil 4 Remake trailer, there have been many rumors about the deviation of the game from the original. Take all this information with a grain of salt, as Capcom has not yet confirmed nor denied any of these. This is a remake of Resident Evil 4, not a sequel. It's been redesigned from the ground up with modern graphics. There are zombie-like creatures with glowing eyes called Los Plantados who move quickly and can subdue opponents by leaping on top of them. The biggest difference between this game and the original is Leon's ability to take cover. Capcom has spent considerable time and effort ensuring everything feels identical to the original Resident Evil 4. However, this is a remake, so being identical isn't good enough. Here's every change that made after the revealed gameplay and trailer for the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Leon pathfinding his way through the woods to the first house. Compared to the original's haphazard approach, we will be getting more exploration areas in instances that were not given the limelight in the original version. The house itself has also been changed and expanded. Multiple doors lead to multiple rooms with distinct props and assets. We also get a dark and creepy basements. New crouch mechanic being added to the game indicates we might be getting new ways to interact with the game environments. Since there was no interaction menu before the crouch, we assume Leon will automatically crouch wherever needed during pathfinding and use a manual key command. There seem to be stealth mechanics also will be a new feature, but we've already seen Leon using crouch to hide from a Ganado in the revealed gameplay. It won't be strange for Ganados to have dynamic detection ranges, if not a full-blown stealth-based reaction. You can also stab Ganados lunging at you. This mechanic was also added in the past Resident Evil remakes. It has found a lot of success since then because having multiple options to defend yourself from all enemies. New crafting items. While the interface of the game has pretty much remained the same aside from the visual improvements, it seems like we're getting new materials to experiment with. While none of the trailers expand on what these might be, we do get to see them in the ammo recipes. Therefore, expect a bunch of new materials during actual in-game gameplay, since ammo has never been abundant in the original Resident Evil 4. There is a new parry mechanics introduced in the Resident Evil 4 Remake showcase. We got to see Leon parrying Ganado's attack by swinging his right hand. Just like most games, this mechanic is intended to target your reaction speed. The new parry mechanic might be limited to Ganados charging at you since the game is intended to prioritize exploration over combat. Therefore, making parrying spammable would defeat the purpose of having a low battle difficulty. Hence, we can expect the parry mechanic to be limited in one way or another. Resident Evil 4 Remake will be using de novo DRM. Capcom has been pouring blood, sweat, and tears into Resident Evil 4 Remake. You don't want people ripping you off for free when you bend backward to put something of this caliber out into the world. That is why Capcom decided to use the notorious de novo DRM to protect their game against piracy. The scandalous DRM has been known to cause stuttering in games, and this has been proven multiple times. We are really hoping that Capcom knows what they are doing, considering things didn't go well with Resident Evil Village, which also used de novo. The performance of which was basically plagued by the DRM software. Fans have high hopes for Resident Evil 4 Remake, and messing it up will be one of the greatest mess-ups of the year for the Resident Evil developers. We will have to wait for an official announcement to see how Capcom plans to do things this time, considering the RE4 remake is probably one of the most anticipated remakes of the franchise. Are you happy to hear that Resident Evil 4 will also be coming to Xbox One? And what platform are you planning to play the game on when it launches next year? Let me know down in the comments below. Resident Evil 4 Remake will release on March 24, 2023. It is now available for pre-order on PC, PS4, PS5, and the Xbox Series X and S. If players buy the PS4 version of the game, it can be upgraded to the PS5 version at no additional cost. The game is also being developed for the PSVR 2, which currently has no release date announced yet. Resident Evil 4 is indeed an iconic stepping stone into the series. It is a well-balanced game of action, horror, and survival. With the Resident Evil 4 Remake trailer and introduced gameplay looking smoother than ever, the release date is turning out to be a hard-to-wait-for event. With the leaks seemingly having significant reworked content, how do you feel about the remake? Do you think that this remake will surpass the original? Please leave us your thoughts in the comments below.
The entire world shall overflow with his grace.
What's happening to me?
Now, abandon your body.
Leave the girl. She's lost no matter what.
Now that he has chosen death. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.